Good evening. This is Caroline Hill with The Couch, Divine Intervention. On this evening, I have two special guests on this evening, Miss Gabriella and Miss Navalit. Navalit. Girl, I'm going to get it. Before the end of the show, I'm going to know your whole name. I thank you both for coming on the show on this evening. I'm asking all of you to please like, share, and comment, and also send questions for these two young ladies. They have great information they're going to give out to all of us on this evening. So I know we are talking about on this evening healthier eating. And we know a lot of us don't eat healthy at all. I know I don't. So I'm asking you all, starting with Gabriella, introduce yourself to Facebook.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriella. I am the nutrition coordinator here at Monarch Health Services. I work alongside the amazing Novely, and we actually are a part of the Food is Medicine program. So basically, we help our clients connect to healthier eating through a very unique process where we provide basically like monthly stipends for fresh fruits and vegetables.
Hi, my name is Natalie, and I work as a registered dietitian with Monarch. And just picking up with Gabriella, so once they get access to these fresh fruits and vegetables, I step in and kind of teach them how to use them and how they are affecting their body and their health and their overall nutrition goals. And so that's how we work in collaboration together with the program.
Okay, something you just said, and I think I'm going to jump out the box really quickly on you guys, And you said how to use the vegetables, the fruits and vegetables, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me, how can a woman can use a pineapple to make it sweet?
Okay, well, there's a little bit of a myth in that.
Is it a myth?
Yes,
because I heard that, much pineapples that you eat, your juices will flow sweet.
Definitely what you eat makes a difference in a lot of things.
All right.
But where you will understand most of how, is in your sweat. Okay. And that's what it's going to come through.
Right.
So really the things that make the biggest impact on that are things that are high in acid. So you really want to be careful with excessive alcohol, excessive coffee, those kinds of things. And pineapple is a citric fruit, so you don't want to eat too much of it because it can change the pH of the body, and in doing so changes the flavor, the taste.
Have you tried it? Have you tried a pineapple to make sure the juice flows sweet?
I can't say that I have.
What about you, Gabriella?
I don't know if I can speak specifically to pineapples, but I do know that when I went fully plant-based, it changed down there. The pH overall changed.
Okay.
So it changed to a more tangy flavor.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what I've...
Teach me something.
Incentive to eat fruits and vegetables.
All right. Okay.
But ultimately, just to step in, what's most important is knowing what your healthy smell is.
Right.
So that you can detect when it's not.
Right.
And then make sure that your partner enjoys whatever flavor you bring to the bedroom.
Because it can be different flavors down there. You know what I mean?
Right. And what makes it most important is that whomever you're with is satisfied.
Girl, you got that spot on. Satisfied. Now, tell me about the program, the film program. What is that about? What is it? What does it do?
So the Food is Medicine program was created just because we realized that the population in which we work with most, in which we ultimately serve.
What population is that?
So that population are people who are living with HIV. They're people who are living with various different types of STDs, and they also so happen to be people who are typically food insecure. So people who are food insecure, basically what that means is just that they don't consistently have access to healthy foods, nutritious foods, really. So the Food is Medicine program was created to help aid in that sense, and really that is why it came about.
So how do this program operate?
So we reach out to our clients individually, one by one. We kind of just reach out through phone, talk to them, and ask simply, are you interested in this program? Because we don't want to push anything on anyone either, right? Something that you taught me. You don't want to push it on people. And so once we get that conversation going, that dialogue, they come in, and we talk a little bit more about the program. We talk a little bit about themselves, and then we simply get them enrolled. And so we administer them a card in which every month that card is reloaded with X amount of money, and then they use that at their local Walmart for fruits and vegetables. Only fruits and vegetables, only fresh fruits and vegetables.
Okay. All right. So how do they get in contact with you in reference to this program?
I would reach out to them.
You would reach out to them.
Or if they're working with someone already, like if they're working with Andrea, for example, then she would.
But they have to be working with their Monarch.
Exactly. They have to be a Monarch client first.
Okay.
And then we can link them.
What is the food insecurity? How does that program? You tell me about how the fresh fruits and vegetables, but think about some individuals who use mostly canned food.
Right.
And that's why it's so critically important for this group and why the nutrition education portion of it is paramount, because when you're in a situation where you're already limited your dollars, you need to maximize not only the amount of food that you get, but the amount of nutrients. And it can also be complicated by disease, right? Because you're going to, certain foods, if you're trying to do low salt or if you're trying to cut carbs, sometimes those foods are more expensive. So the program, in one sense, offsets the cost of other things that you're going to have to get, because at least you don't have to get the fruits and vegetables, which can sometimes be a chunk of the paycheck. Sometimes it's really not cheap. I mean, we see the cost of bag lettuce versus, ground beef.
Right.
So if you're left to choose, sometimes you would go for the ground beef only and then miss out on all those nutrients that you need to ward off all of the complications that you're going through, not just the HIV, but it could be hypertension, it could be high cholesterol, it could be diabetes. So that's why this program is just it's so great in what it's trying to do, because it's not just pushing fruits and vegetables at you, it's offsetting the cost of your groceries, period. And for this section of people, these groups of people, it's critically important that they have access to as much food as they can to help them round out their diet.
And how long do this program last?
So the program is indefinite because it is funded by a grant. So long as that grant keeps going, then of course we can continue the work. And that's why we always encourage people, like, if you have any questions about how this works, reach out. If you just simply don't know how to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into your diet, this is why we have Novely. This is why we provide that service, because that's such a key part, just learning how to work with it. Because to your point, a lot of these people, they simply rely on canned foods and things like that. So it's a whole new process to introduce this into their lifestyle.
So the question is to you guys, you introducing this program to people, they get comfortable with it and continue to, stay on course. Now, say the money runs out. And do they revert back to canned food? Or how do they continue to proceed to continue to purchase those fresh fruits and vegetables?
Well, I think this is great, because I didn't address the canned food. There is nothing inherently wrong with canned food. And I have to, even within my own diet, have to include both. Convenience is canned food. What we do is, and part of the nutrition education portion is to teach them how to push them together.
Right.
So if you don't, or tips on how to make the canned food healthier. Like the majority of the salt that is in there is just in the preservation liquid.
Right.
So if you drain and rinse that, then you rinse the vegetables, then essentially you're not ingesting all that additional salt. So there's lots of tips and tricks, and that's the goal. Even because life has ebbs and flow, and so does your finances.
Definitely.
But learning how to eat healthy is something that you can do whether you have $2 or 10, and that's the goal. And so that's part of what we do within the training and the nutrition education that I try to do, is to not take their diet and throw it out and adopt something completely new because we've got some new cool thing that we're trying to do. Instead, we merge it together, and they're learning things about their diet so that if the program does go away, they still have all those tools in the toolbox to continue forward, living healthy, eating healthy, making small changes for a healthier life.
And that's you said a key point there. If the program does go away, they still would be able to maintain.
They still have the tools.
They have the tools
That's
to continue
right.
to maintain. Now, will you or have you were able to do some cooking with individuals to show them how to prep or make a meal out of something small, but stretch it for a big family.
Well, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that brought me to Monarch, and Monarch to me is because, yes, I'm a dietitian, but I started out as a chef. I just loved food.
Wait, girl, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait. You are what now?
Yes, I started as
what
a
made you
chef.
leave a chef to go to dietitian?
Well, because
I know both equal somewhat, but however, you was a chef, girl.
Yes, but because that's all I ever thought about that I thought food could be. I thought I could only prepare it. So I went to culinary school, and that's what I did. But while I was in school, I took a nutrition class, and it was mandatory. But I learned that food broke down into stuff.
Right.
And that was the first time that it had ever occurred to me, like, wow, these things, it's not just something that I'm making and I'm eating. It can enter my body and do something positive or do something negative. And that was attractive to me. And that's what made me go back to school and continue on. I did food science, and then I ended up in nutrition and became a dietitian. So one of the things, and everybody has their own, some people don't like to cook. And so for them, we teach convenience. Some people love to cook. And so I go through everything. We learn dry batter versus wet batter.
Right.
I talk about spices. I talk about, switching to a plant-based diet if that's what they're interested in. So the background in culinary, while it's not what guides me every day in everything that I do, really helps me to connect with people, because at the end of the day, I'm someone who really focuses on what do we add to a diet to make it healthy, not what we take away.
Right. So, dealing with spices, we know we have different cultures, and different cultures use different spices, So how do you help them regulate that when it deals with hypertension, diabetes, and other diseases that may cause harm, like myself? I don't need to eat spicy food, but I love it. So what would you tell me to still get that taste, but not use that spice so much?
Okay, so, we could go two ways, right? So we know that if you don't do well with spicy foods, you're going to learn about using all kinds. There's lots of different peppers, and maybe we just need to go to something like an ancho pepper, where you use a dried pepper, so you're getting that punch, that smokiness, but not the heat. We can also teach you how to cut the pepper around the seeds, so you avoid that spice, that hot. And then we can also talk about ways to mitigate the spiciness or the heartburn if you get it when you get it, right? Like elevating yourself after the meal, drinking additional water, not laying down shortly after. So there's many different things. So we could go both ways, and I get that because I'm Jamaican and we use the Scotch bonnet pepper, but I also have heartburn. So I mitigate some of my symptoms so I can eat what I want. But then I also make changes too, which is make sure I don't use the inside of the pepper so I don't get that heat.
Now, both of you ladies, the field that you're in, we all say we're supposed to be healthy, right? But we all have those unhealthy moments in our lives. So how would you deal with the individual where they are having no unhealthy moments in their lives, where they feel as if they're overweight and they just cannot put that rice or that bread down? How would you help them transcend from eating bread and rice every day, and that's all they know, then from leaving that bread and rice to eating what?
I think the first step in a situation like that is like any other therapy and counseling. You have to sell them on themselves, that they're worth it. Whatever goals that they have. Is it for their children? Is it because they want to see grandchildren? Is it because they want to walk? Is it they want to travel again? Whatever. You have to tap into something deeper than the food itself, because most times the food is the byproduct of something deeper.
Right.
So, I'm not a counselor, but what I can do and what I'm able to do as a dietitian is sell them on themselves. And once we can do that, then we try to illuminate as to why what they're doing will never bring them to where they'd like to be. And that's how we work. And then secondly, there's just practical things like portion control. Stop thinking of life as you have to give everything up and begin to think of you can include everything in the right portion, prepared the right way.
Right. The old saying is, I say I live to eat, not eat to live. how do we deal with individuals who just can't stop eating? We get stressed out, and we get up on that stress level, we eat. Some eat and some don't. But how do we try to recognize when that stress level is climbing up to not grab that chocolate ice cream out the freezer, or those chocolate chip cookies, or those chips over there in the corner? What do we do? Do we grab an apple or a peach or grapes? How would we do that?
We can say that. We certainly can say grab the
Right.
apple, the peach, but I've been doing this long enough to know that they're going to grab the ice cream because there's something else there going on. And it sounds like the most impractical, most annoying thing to do, but logging your food helps you recognize not only what you're eating, how you're eating, but I also ask people to write down what are you feeling at that moment. It's a whole body. You have to tap into the whole body. And people will recognize that they come out of their meetings after work, their closing meetings, and that's when they come home and will stress eat the Oreos. All right, so then are the Oreos the problem, or is it the stress of the closing meeting, and how do we do something about that? And at the end of the day, like anything else, if you want change, you got to change.
That's true. Gabs?
No, I really do agree with all of that, and I think that from a more personal level, just witnessing that within, my own family and watching family members go through all of that, I really do feel like it does have to come from you first. Like, you can only take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink the water, so I think that's a very personal journey in which they have to come to that epiphany on their own, and there's only so much that you can do. You can provide everything and leave it there and kind of just wait, work with them but not push them, because then that's just going to push them away as well. They're going to resist even more so.
That's true. Now, dealing with individuals who's infected with the HIV virus, and we know that, they have to make sure they take care of their health. So how would you guys have a sit down with them on the first visit? And what would you say to them?
So the majority of people that are coming in for the Food is Medicine program are people who are living with HIV, and a lot of them have been living with HIV for a really long time. And so the impression that I get when, we talk, because sometimes they stay more reserved, and then sometimes they're an open book. And a lot of the time, they kind of just come out and they're like, these are all the things that I've gone through in my life. This is what it comes down to. But the way that I try and approach it is just to be from a very, open place of, that's okay. There's no judgment here, And what's most important is that you're taking care of yourself, because a really big part of the program, we were talking about this earlier, is making sure that our clients are adherent with their medical appointments and with their medication and keeping up with every aspect of their wellness. And so introducing this into their life, it's like this is another key part of your wellness, because living with HIV, it's commonly known that this impacts your nutrition overall and vice versa. So this is why we have to introduce this, and then that's when Novelly steps in.
Okay. Now, you also deal with, talk about condoms and talk about other things. I don't know, do you, or you just strictly dealing with the dietitian period?
People are a whole book. They don't
can't
come
treat
to you.
one without the other.
They can't
right?
treat one without the other. So sometimes they come in, and there are some things that are very much related. If you're a male suffering with high blood sugars and have diabetes, impotence may become a problem. Lower testosterone levels may become a problem with some diseases. So yeah, we talk about all of it sometimes.
So if they can't get an erection, how do you tell them how to eat to get one?
Well, there's nothing they can do to eat one, but they can.
I mean,
there are things
erection,
they're
but,
doing. Yeah. There are things they can definitely do to get the blood
flowing
better. Absolutely.
Right. And how would your discussion go with them?
If it was related to diabetes, then the first thing we need to do is, of course, begin testing and seeing what's, testing our blood sugar and seeing what's going on, what we're doing, and really, if it's that important to him, then it becomes an intensive process of testing and changing your diet so that you've got to get the sugar out of the blood. and back using it for energy.
Okay. Now, as we deal with condoms, flavored condoms. And, hey, sex is sex. But it's still safety because you have to deal with the whole being holistically and not just say we're just going to focus on the food and what you eat. Because if you don't deal with the whole being, mind, body, and soul, you're going to lose them at the end of the day. And when they may want to do this right, they're doing over here wrong.
Right.
So when someone may come to the both of you, and I'll say I would be an individual, and I, like I said earlier about the pineapples, and then you corrected me on that. Hey, that's what they were saying. So
Try it out,
But, if you have a couple that want to use the whipped cream and the cherries and all this other stuff, during the process of intimacy, and one may have diabetes, or something else that made the whipped cream or the syrup or whatever may affect that individual if they eat too much of it. So how would you tell them how to deal with, in the intimacy part with their partner, how much to eat or how much to lick in the midst of that?
I think just like anything else, you have to plan for it. Just like you would plan for a celebration or a birthday party to have the extra piece of cake or to do the thing, you plan for it. If you have a spicy night coming up and you know that you're going to play around with things that are high in sugar, then adjust your carbohydrates in the beginning of the day. Don't go full bread, breakfast and lunch and dinner, and then go crazy at, so if you're trying to control your blood sugar, then you would withhold the carbohydrates and then save it for later. If it's something that is normal and regular and you're doing it often, then I would, like anything else, recommend that you let the doctor know. Maybe you need a medication adjustment so that your bedtime diabetes regimen can cover if that's something that is very, very regular. But I would say for the most part, for most people, you would plan it in just like you would plan in any other celebration or a night out or any time you kind of want to break. And then you would just adjust your diet for the day so that you could splurge in the evening.
So when it comes to alcohol and drugs, how do that affect individuals who may be HIV positive or any health-related issues?
So I think that when it comes to HIV individuals, alcohol and drugs is something that absolutely you need to be more precautious with, just because of the simple fact that your risky behavior is going to increase in that moment too. And you also don't know, how that might impact you like physically at the same time. And we know that when it comes to drugs, if we're going to be doing something like, if we're going to be using needles or something, that's the most infectious way in which HIV can be spread. So that's something that we do have to be.
Not anal?
Well, when it comes to sex, that's different. But sex is when it's most commonly spread. But the most infectious way is through needles,
so
needle sharing.
What should they do if they are sharing?
If they are sharing, then what you should do in that moment, at the very, very least, you should be sterilizing your needle with a proper ratio of water and bleach. And you should be doing it, I want to say, a minimum of somewhere between 3 to 10 times, if I remember correctly. So you want to do that if you are needle sharing.
Okay, we got to go to a commercial. But the question I have for you ladies before the commercial is, in your own personal lives, with being a dietitian and all of that, is that such a compensation for something that maybe you may be liking in life itself for individuals like yourselves? We'll be right back. bite to the couch. I have Gabs. Say your name.
Just call me Nav. Natalie.
There you go, girl, because I'm going to mess you up, Nav. Natalie. Woo! Thank you.
So
okay. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm laughing because y'all probably saw that too, but I'm not going to mention it. I know y'all men saw it, right? Okay, but we're going to leave it right there. But however, please like, share, and comment, and send me some questions for my two lovely special guests on tonight. I wish I could see your face right now. No. But we're on tonight. We're talking about healthier eating and how important it is to make sure we eat healthy nowadays. And, you know, we have COVID-19 going on. We have all these other health disparities that's in the world on today. And, you know, we're talking about the film program and how it works. And if you're a patient of the Monarch Health Services, you'll be able to get that card on a monthly basis. But, however, we do have individuals who may be homeless. How could we? I know that question I asked y'all before, but okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to bring it back. The question I asked you guys, being in the position that you're in with your profession, have you ever compensated your position with something in depth in your own personal lives?
I don't know if I've compensated, but I think sometimes I can be or maybe have been like overly okay about my health because, right, I'm a dietitian,
right.
So I'm okay, and then something takes you out, or, you know, anything like that. There have been times where, you know, I can, maybe because I don't often struggle with weight, or I don't have, you know, I can
right.
take that for granted, or I think that it's something special or something that I did, or maybe because I'm educated. I don't think it, you know, so that I always remind myself to stay humble because, you know, sometimes there's absolutely nothing you've done to get the fate that you get with the diseases you get.
That's
so I would say that more than anything.
Okay. Gabs?
Yeah, no, I feel like when it comes to the profession that you're in, you do have to keep that. You have to keep that mentality. Like, I need to remain humble. I need to, because exactly, sometimes circumstances just
lessons, yeah.
Right, exactly. Sometimes circumstances just happen, and I think that's a part of the bigger lesson that things are out of your control. You know, you can't control everything, and
no matter how hard we try.
No matter how hard we try. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So the question I want to ask you now is dealing with the homeless population, and you know it's very huge here in Palm Beach County. Now, the HIV positive ones and the ones who have a lot of health disparities, how do you deal with them about trying to eat fresh fruits and vegetables or even canned food?
Right.
Living on the street, living up under the bridge, living in somebody's car. So if you had a group of 10 homeless individuals, how could you service them?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The attention shifts because then it's about where can they access the most nutrient-dense foods? Where can I make sure that they're eating, period?
Right.
Okay? That's really what's most important. So the attention shifts a little bit. And, you know, if we're going to be honest, the money for those types of help are different. The foods are going to be canned. They may be higher in fat, higher in salt, higher in sugar, shelf-stable, things they can take with them.
Right.
And so I would say in that case, it's really about treating the person to get them off the street because that's really the step one. And then we can begin to address a lot of things. But really for me as a dietitian, and I would hope that most dietitians, this is not a time to preach nutrition. This is a time to preach where can you get food, who has the best food, the healthiest food, right. And how to get there and help them set up transportations, help them set up systems, and, you know, get systems in place to get to better food.
Mm-hmm. Right. There are already so many sort of layers in that experience. So to come and preach, like, you need to eat this, you need to eat that. It's like, okay, provide the access, provide the resources, fix the system. Like, how are you going to put that on one individual when so many times, going back to what we were saying, like, circumstances are really just out of control. So I feel like there are so many other things that need to be addressed, and it's a really complex issue.
Definitely, because, if you're homeless, you're only going to have everything you own in your hand.
Right.
So if you're on medication, that's not going to be your first priority. If you only can get a meal once a week, then what? The side effects from the medication continue to harm you, have stomach issues or whatever comes up. I mean, we have to address the homelessness in Palm Beach County.
Absolutely.
Before anything else can be addressed at the end of the day. And I seen so many homeless people. And even though they come to my pantry for food, I cannot give them the good stuff. Because where they going to store the chicken? Where they going to store where they going to store that stuff?
Right.
So I have to only give them the canned food that they can pop the top and eat out of it. So that bothers me in a sense, but I only can do what I can do. And I feel as we as organizations, we as dietitians, we have to make a bigger stand on that in Palm Beach County in order to cut a hole in something that done grew so big and out of control.
I can't argue with you. You're absolutely right. And I think this is a good first step, though, because, even as a dietitian, it's a good first step to really see and to get in and to understand how deep, how disturbing the process is. But I can't argue with you. You're absolutely right. This time we have louder voices.
We have to.
Yes.
Because if you look at it, it's just like our president. He said there was COVID-19 was not real. Then we look around and he have it. So it's like, tit for tat. Okay, come on now. You say it's not this, but now you have it.
Right.
Well, and saying that, I think, hopefully once we get out of this mess, a lot of people who never have been food insecure, who had to join food lines because of the coronavirus, will hopefully their hearts will prick and they'll begin to, give back to the system that helped them in their time of need and really see how easy and how you could really be one paycheck away from needing services that you could have once turned your nose up on from other people.
Or either one step away from being homeless.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Because 1 minute, everybody had jobs.
Right.
Then when COVID-19 hit, jobs ceased.
55 million out of jobs, I believe.
Not just jobs, whole industries.
Whole industries.
Just went under.
Right.
So, we have to be very careful when we in these kind of positions that we really work hard to put a dent in certain things. So when it happens again, we'll be prepared and we'll be ready. Because I don't think we wasn't ready for this.
No.
We wasn't ready for this.
I wasn't ready.
Not just you. We all wasn't ready for this.
Right.
Trying to figure out what we're going to eat. We're going to have money to pay our bills. Are we going to have money to feed our kids?
Yes.
Think about people who have more than 2 or 3 children.
That's right.
Right.
If they had to stay home and watch them through virtual school, they can't work.
Right.
So then they're going to have to figure out, okay, oodle noodles all day.
Exactly.
Even though it's high in salt, but yet still it's cheap.
And even if they do work and they're at home, there's, you put food in the house and then you have to leave.
Yeah.
And so the kids are going to be making the decisions on meal planning.
Oh, yes.
And so, there's definitely things once this ends that we're going to have to really pay attention to and see how we've been missing the mark and how we can do better going forward.
Definitely. I have a question. The question is, for the program, do you only have to be HIV positive?
So it's individuals that are living with HIV, individuals who are utilizing PrEP, and then also those who are currently living with hepatitis. Now, the thing with hepatitis is that because there is a cure for it, after 3 months, then that would change, your status would change. But it just all depends on circumstances.
Excuse me, hepatitis, which one?
It's for Hep C.
Okay. Is there more than one string of Hep C?
That's a good question. You got me on the spot, Miss
I
Caroline.
have no idea, girl. There is. Be ready, girl, when you sit on that couch. You don't know what's coming out of his mouth. But anyway, there is. And all of them is not curable. Am I right, Richardo? I said, I know I got that thing. I might have forgot years ago, but I know my stuff. But, right. But anyway, ladies, are minorities at higher risk for diet-related illnesses, and why, if they are?
Yes. And it's complicated. There is obvious trauma. There is food insecurity, as we've been discussing. There's food shortages. There is the packing in of fast food in certain areas. There are environmental issues related a lot to asthma. It's a lot, and it's historical, and whether people want to recognize it, it's systemic.
Yes.
And then part of it is just lack of education and ignorance to what really is. And for me as a dietitian, what speaks true most of the time is it's just the simple fact that when people talk about health and wellness, they leave us out of the conversation, yet we're the ones dying from the diseases. And it's as simple as Google imaging health and wellness or nutritionist and seeing the images that pop up really don't represent the groups of people that are dying most from nutrition-related diseases. We need to change the conversation, and really one of the big things is the conversation around the food that we eat, because we're left to believe that it is inherently unhealthy. And in order to be healthy, we must throw out everything we eat, even though it's rice, beans, and chicken like everybody else, and adopt a whole new way of eating that includes meal planning and things that we may not be accustomed to be healthy. And that's just incorrect. There just needs to be a retraining so that we join the conversation. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the food we eat.
Right.
We may eat too much.
True.
We may add too much fat.
Yes.
We may put too much meat at times and things.
But
it's just a simple re-education. So that question is super complicated for me as a dietitian as to why we've gotten ourselves into the mess we've gotten into. But it's obviously affecting brown and black people more than anybody else. And I think it's just because we're left out of the conversation completely.
Yeah, I don't think we allowed ourselves to get into it. I really think it really started from slavery in a sense, because, you know, they threw us the chicken feed or the pigtails and the chitlins for what they didn't want because they felt it was less than. And we began to consume all of that and be able to, you know, that's all they would be able to eat at the time. And it just went from generation to generation. And then we have to be so careful what we allow in our communities.
Yes.
We have to be careful, you know, because they have them desert spots.
Yes.
Where nothing healthy is in those areas at all, unless you go 10 miles to a decent grocery store, a whole food grocery store. And then who can afford that if they're not working?
Right.
Or if they don't make enough to afford whole food.
Right.
So what we're going to do? We're going to go backwards and go on to Wendy's or Burger King and McDonald's.
Well, there's enough blame, though, and I love our people. There's enough blame.
We can hold blame on our own as well, true. But however,
if you just look, that's why I said it's so complicated.
Yes, definitely.
And what I try to tell people a lot is that the blame I think we need to take the most is that we understood that ideal body weight wasn't maybe ideal for us, or that diet wasn't the diet that we like to eat, and so we understood that the rules weren't written for us, but then we pretended like there were no rules. So even, you know, it's like you can't, you know, that you can't eat certain things all the time in the portions, and we just did it anyway. So now it's just about, all right, where are we now? Is this okay? And do we want to do a little bit better?
Do a little better. Yes, definitely with these diets that they got going on. That wasn't designed for us black and brown people. You know,
a lot of times not. Yeah.
Right. So when we try to keto diet and it's not working for us, but it's working for them over there. You know, and you wonder, what am I doing wrong? Maybe you're not doing anything wrong. It's just not working for you.
Right.
So we just have to change some things.
That's right.
Just to make ourselves feel better first. Because, see, we begin to get low self-esteem when we don't look like that bikini body that we once thought we could have, or once we had, and we can't get it no longer. So we have to really encourage ourselves and love ourselves first. I think that's the first thing, is loving yourself.
I agree.
Yeah, you have to love yourself.
And health is more than that number on the scale. There's so many other ways to define health. How you look, how you feel.
Yes.
Do your clothes fit? Do you sleep well?
Right.
How's your mood? You know, that's
all that affects.
Wellness.
Yes,
right.
all that affects your health and your weight gain or weight loss.
Absolutely.
Yes, you cannot sleep for 3 days and then gain a whole lot of weight because you're stressed out. You know.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So a lot of things can be that it can affect a person's weight, and it don't have to be food.
Agreed.
Yeah, it don't have to be food.
Absolutely.
So, do you have any special guys in your life? I know I'm switching. I know, but yeah, any special men?
Please, Gabriella, you first.
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have a lovely partner.
All right.
His name is Marcos. He's my boyfriend.
Did he eat right?
He does his best to eat right. It's a complicated relationship.
I see, girl. You say he does his best, but okay. What about you?
Yes. He's my 9-year-old son.
I know he's gonna eat right because he don't have a choice.
Well,
when he's around mom.
Yes, when he's
okay.
Well, you know, and like I said, I'm a working mother, so all of it is included. Frozen, canned, fast food, takeout, fresh prepared, all of it. But yeah, no, as a romantic partner, no, I'm single.
Why, girl? You look sexy enough to have a man. What's going on?
Work.
Yeah. Sometimes you're married to your work, right?
A little bit.
But you can't get off with work, though.
But you not anybody would know that they have things for that.
Girl, I know, girl. I know. Oh, okay. So I have a question for you about the keto diet.
Okay.
Dr. Sebi's food in the keto diet. What y'all think about that?
What is it?
Dr. Sebi's food with the keto diet, right? Have y'all heard of that diet?
Nope. I think you stumped me on this one.
I've heard of
myself.
I've heard of the keto diet.
The keto.
Yeah.
I don't know that its origins are Dr. Sebi's, but
how did that diet work?
The keto is basically, it's almost like a repackaged Atkins. It's the same diets they've been doing year after year after year.
Okay, they just changed the name.
Just change the name and reduce some restrictions or increase some restrictions, but essentially it's just a low carb, high protein diet.
Oh, okay. We got to go to another commercial.
Okay.
And when we come back from the commercial, we're going to talk about those flavored condoms. You know, we're going to talk about, also, we're going to talk about the sex in the dark. You know, we got a commercial about that. But, you know, it's going to be a whole week series about sex in the dark. And, boy, look at here. It's juicy. Okay. It ain't about fruits and vegetables. Now, you can use them in the sex in the dark whole week series, you know, with the whipped cream and the cherry on top and all that little stuff, ice cream. But it won't be healthy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the couch. I'm Caroline Hill with Divine Intervention with my very two special guests talking about healthier eating. And yes, we want everyone to be healthy, right, ladies? But we know, unfortunately, it's not going to work for everybody, but we're going to do our best to get everybody. No person behind, right?
That's right.
Get them all. So, ladies, I just want to thank you first for coming out and just educating us all about the foods that we're eating, how we can change our diet, you know, the process of it, because we have to know that it's not a quick fix. You know, it's not a quick fix on how we're eating, because we've been eating like this for years.
That's right.
So talk about a little bit about the Sex in the Dark series coming up in a couple of weeks. You know, it's going to be juicy, okay? A lot of juice going to be flowing during that whole week. You know, a whole lot of conversation. So with that run of a week with sex in the dark, how would you incorporate that with healthy eating?
Well, I think it's all a balance, you know. I feel like your libido is going to be very much thrown off. Your energy levels are going to be thrown off if you're not eating right. You can't have sex if you're not.
That's a lie. Yes, you can.
If you're exhausted and you're
Girl,
simply...
yes, you can. You just lift that leg and say, get it.
That's a starfish.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, dear.
Well, you can do your best sexually. You can perform your best. If you're just taking care of yourself overall, because, you know, if you're not eating right, mentally you're going to be stressed, your sleep is going to be thrown off, and all these factors really play into each other, and that's ultimately going to affect your sex life, which I think a lot of people don't acknowledge that. They're like, oh, why don't I want to have sex? Like, probably because you're really stressed out, probably because you are mentally fatigued, and that's going to affect everything else throughout your body as well.
I agree. And also, I mean, if you don't think, yes, you can have sex, but it can be enhanced by a clearer mind,
right?
Better nutrition. I mean, if right now when you're doing it, you know, you're huffing and puffing and sweating, it can be, you know what I'm saying? It can get better. It doesn't have, so there are lots of benefits to, I think, just total wellness and then how it's expressed.
So doing the huffing and puffing and sweating, is that a weight loss?
Yes, absolutely. That is cardio and some of the
Go
best.
ahead, girl. I know my stuff. Yes.
It's some of the best cardio there is. I mean,
yes, that's true.
It's very true. If that's something you enjoy and you hate every other kind of exercise, step that up.
Step it up. Y'all step it up.
Step it up.
So true though. If you don't like to walk it out in the bedroom. So I do this to myself every time. Okay. Trying to get a clear head. See, I'm trying to get that clear head. So I won't go too far. But however, what I need you to do for me is look into that camera and tell individuals about eating healthy and how it can improve longevity, sexually, and life. Go ahead.
Okay. So ultimately, the role that food and nutrition, when I was just inspired by food breaking down, it really does do things. It can make you feel better. It can make you feel worse. It can enhance your mood. It can make you feel depressed. It's part of your culture. It connects you to your family. It's more than just nutrients. Food can play a huge role in your life. It does. It already does. It's something that you inherently have to do. We wake up every morning, you have to eat. So why not do it better? Do it the best. And it does really impact many parts of your life. Like, we're joking around and we're talking about sex, but sex is important. Intimacy is important. And a healthy diet can assist with the confidence. It's just one more aspect of the whole person that you are, that you can work on and improve and get better. So why not? You're already doing it, so do it well.
Thank you. Thank you. Gabs, would you like to talk about the Sex in the Dark coming up, the whole series for that week?
Yes. So really exciting. Basically, everyone here kind of got together and we developed this week-long series, Monday through Friday. We are going to be talking for about an hour about different sex topics. So, for example, one of them is Get the Candy and Leave. So that's going to be all about one-night stands. Another one is going to be paranormal activities. So it's going to be talking about, you know, different sort of sexual experiences, specifically sexual partners, and maybe more like orgies, polyamory, different things like that. Another one's going to be thriller nights. So that's going to be more so taboo kind of kinky affairs, things to that nature. And so I'm really excited for that series because it's going to be educational, but it's also going to be very personal. It's going to be very like first-person perspective mixed in with some fun sex facts, things like that, and going to be a more so open dialogue and welcoming conversation.
Cool. And my night will be package, wrong delivery.
The best night.
And that's the best night, because y'all know me. We coming live at 5. So I'm telling all of you to make sure you tune in on October 28th or 29th is my night. 29th. So, y'all make sure. We're going to be live at 5. We're going to have so much entertainment. And you know what? I'm going to be ready because I have this special guest, Big Mama, coming back on. And she's going to try to shade me, but I'm going to shade her first. I want to thank you, ladies, for coming out.
Thank you so much.
Giving us all the education that we need on tonight. And I know there's much more education that can be learned. If you would like to come back on my show again next year, 2021, you're more than welcome to come back and educate us some more. You want to bring me a couple treats, you know, it's okay to cook a little meal. However you want to do it,
yes,
you're welcome to do so because I love to eat. Okay?
So do I.
So I thank you all for coming out. I thank you for watching. God bless you and see you next week. Good night.
Good night.